Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gail Morgan welcoming you to the Libertarian Counterpoint's Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. You've heard their point, now listen to the counterpoint.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. We are coming at you on August 4th, 2021. As always, just an amazing amount of stuff happening with the Biden administration and almost none of it good. But before we get into any of that, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon the Word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In our upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Ever. He is a pilot in the state of California. My name is Jason McPhee, and I will be your host today. So let's jump right into it. Probably one of the most substantive items of the day is this eviction apocalypse that appears to be now upon us. And, you know, as always, this is a property rights calamity that is brought to you by an unprincipled government. The government decided at the beginning of this whole pandemic that it was appropriate to lock people into their houses. And of course, then people can't work. So how are we going to solve that? Well, I guess we're going to have to tell people that they don't have to pay rent anymore. Right. It's not a matter of the government providing housing. It's a matter of government stealing housing from landlords and just handing it, trying to look like they're handing it philanthropically to people. And it's just a terrible story about property rights that were destroyed by government, and now we're in the mess of it. And we have an article too. We have a couple of articles. This one is from I believe it's from the Guardian, and it shows here in California protesters out there talking about it. And then there was also a nice article as well from Fee, where you got some guys like Rand Paul weighing in on it. There was a nice little where did that tweet go? There it is. And here he says CDC does not have the authority to do this. This is what he tweeted out, I guess, when it first happened back in September 2020. Rand Paul once again was on the right side of things, and looks like Thomas Massey too. And they said this is a dangerous precedent and bad policy. So what do you guys have to weigh in on this? I mean, just an awful story. It's going to be ugly going through, and landlords have been in an awful situation for about a year. And I don't know, where's it going? It is
really kind of funny, that you're beginning to wonder if we are still living in a constitutional republic. Because the Constitution clearly forbids Congress or any governmental agency from interfering with the obligations of contracts. It's there in the Constitution. Besides, also, this is an issue of property rights, which also gets into the issue of the taking clause, where government is taking people's property without just compensation. Because when you really sit down and think about it, if you're telling people they don't have to pay rent, and the landlord is still stuck with the property, which he must also pay the mortgage on, you're actually taking his property. That's what you're doing. So on two grounds, I think this is totally unconstitutional what they are doing, and it's going to be a nightmare. But that article that you sent out, Jason, you listen to it and you read through it, it's nothing but socialism repackaged. Oh, if we evict all these people.
Just to be clear, too, you're talking about the Guardian article, not the Fee article.
Yeah, you're right. It's the Guardian article. The Guardian article. It's true. Let's be clear. Oh, all these deaths and all these infections is going to rise if people are evicted. What do you mean by that? We have a free market where these things will be resolved in the free market, and government should stay out of it and allow people to resolve these things. It is our economy of voluntary exchange. A tenant wants something, which is your rental space. You can provide it. Voluntary interaction. Where does the government enter into this, other than creating the mess that they have already created?
Yeah, heck with that, all that stuff. I don't know. What's next?
What's next? That's a good point.
What in the heck is next? And then, of course, for the CDC to be unilaterally, just doing that. I mean, I'm kind of wondering, how can this possibly happen? Seriously. I mean, I thought, I was raised that the Constitution was the rule of law, the law of the land.
The supreme law of the land. The supreme law of the land. Yeah.
Supreme. Trump's, some CDC official coming out with an edict and so on and so forth. And how these landlords are not able to sue City Hall, I guess, sue the government, and get all their lost income back. All this stuff. I mean, it's just a nightmare, dystopian nightmare. Yes. I don't know where it's going or how it got here. It's completely ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. And what's next? Heck, if they can take a house from somebody that owns it, what else? They can take anything. Sure. Why don't they come and get my car? Maybe it pollutes too much. Why don't they just come and seize it and melt it down and turn it into a electric car or something? I don't know. Anyway, I'm done.
But depressing. But you raise an interesting point, Tim, because what if they decide climate change is an existential threat?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh,
what if they did that?
Oh,
then they can do anything. They can do anything. Anything in the name of climate change is an existential threat. So if you're polluting or if you're doing anything, they can do anything in the name of that. If these things are permitted to stand, whether it stand in violation of the taking clause, or it stands in violation of even some of the due process issues, it stands whether it's about obligation of contracts, then they can define anything as a threat, anything as a national crisis, and they can come and take our property. Our property rights truly mean nothing. Nothing.
Well, it would be just one last point, just to be, kind of pithy about it. If they may as well, to be honest about it, they may as well take the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and, Declaration all out of their hermetically sealed containers and just burn them on the steps of the White House and, wherever else they want to burn them. Just burn them. Just, instead of this nonsense, this lie that, we're governed by the rule of law. It's complete baloney. So which is not very hopeful.
Yeah. Well, I think both of you guys brought up great points. Tim, the idea that if the government can just come and take your house, essentially, out of some kind of philanthropic exercise, supposedly. And to be clear, there's nothing philanthropic about reaching into somebody else's pocket to virtue signal how magnanimous you are in helping someone else. It's reaching into your own pocket that shows that you're willing to take the opportunity cost of your feelings and your virtues. So that is the truly moral path. But they're picking winners and losers, and the government's real good at picking winners and losers. The Federal Reserve and Keynesian economics picks winners out of people that spend and go into debt, and creates losers out of people that save money. And so they're so good at picking winners and losers. That they're going to pick winners and losers in this stuff about alternative energy and everything else. So, why not pick winners and losers when it comes to tenants versus landlords? They're good at. In other words, they're good at bossing people around. The number one job. Yeah. But, Leon, there was a good point you made too. And the this is almost a preview of potential where the left could go with climate change, because clearly on something where there's maybe a 1% chance of death, maybe if we want to, more or less. That's what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that they can grab your property, that they can force things into your body. These are absolute violations of property rights of individuals. And the idea that they're willing to do that over something that in many cases, this is something that you can protect yourself from with your own, I guess, the way you associate with people. We now have a choice of a vaccine where you can get that vaccine if you want to. And the idea that the government is just going to roll over people and tell you, no, we're going to take your property and we're going to force things into you. This is, so when you talk about something that existential, which is a word that's been thrown around a lot with climate change,
Yes.
it is scary where these people may go with that.
And the thing about it, they always do things in the name of the poor. Oh my goodness gracious! Well, in the Guardian article is the landlords versus the tenants. Like the landlords are these people, these mean bastards just out there. Could I say that word, by the way?
Well, you already did. So just go with it.
These mean SOBs just out there trying to rip off everybody that come along. And they forget we're supposed to be living in a country where voluntary exchange is paramount. But they always want to do things in the name of the poor. Now, look, I have great sympathy and empathy for the poor. And whenever I can reach into my own pocket and help the poor, certainly I'll be willing to do that. But when the government comes along and say, well, they're forcing me, right? As if I'm a landlord, they are forcing me to help the poor. That is not compassion. Okay, I am put at the force of law. I'm required to give people property. That is not right. There's something wrong with that, both constitutionally, legally, and morally. There's something wrong with that, and they keep doing these things in the name of the poor. No, we can't do this.
Well, you're just a fatherless rich guy with deep pockets. Notice how I said fatherless instead of the B word.
Okay.
Well, you know what's also is just terrible and immoral and all this stuff is that the idea that these leaders who are making these proclamations aren't following their own rules. And so here, I mean, we've had case after case of this happening throughout the pandemic, and the latest of which is Muriel Bowser, the mayor of Washington, D.C., has just imposed mask mandates on her population. We're seeing similar and more, I guess just today, I believe de Blasio may be trying to push forth a vaccine mandate in his city.
Yes.
But at least at the time we were putting together the show, Muriel Bowser throwing the mask mandate was, one of the more heavy-handed things. And the crazy thing is, right when she's going to do it, she goes and she hangs out with all of her friends and celebrities and no mask. Here's a picture of Muriel Bowser in the New York Post hanging out with Dave Chappelle and a bunch of other of her friends and partiers here. And then she also went to a wedding too after the mask mandate, which she was officiating
at the wedding. She was
no masks again.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the hypocrisy just abounds. These people want to run your life. They want to, as Tim said, they want to tell you what to do, and then they don't follow the same rules. And it clearly, we're not being governed by any kind of a system of principled laws at this point. It is completely the personality of leaders. People thought the left was completely upside down with Trump, and yet we see these leaders on the left just roll over people, individuals, in city after city and state after state, with no regard to sticking to the same rules that they are imposing on the people they govern.
Gosh, it's almost as if they have no principles.
Almost.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought that? But Muriel Bowser, DC, the mayor of DC, she is just in a long line of these people who think they could pass laws and mandates upon us, but they don't have to live by it. Nancy Pelosi during the shutdown, she just needed to get her hair blown out. I just needed to have this done. Oh, really? She went and do it. The governor of New Mexico, she asked a jewelry store to open up so she could have some jewelry. She did that too. And now we have Muriel. Poor Muriel. She had to go to and officiate. Okay, fine. You want to officiate. You want to pass your mandate, but you're not going to live by the rule too? What the hell is this? So we are just little minions. We just have to pay our taxes and shut up. And you people in charge could do whatever the hell you want? No, thank you. I don't want to live in that country. I really don't.
Well, that's what they want.
I guess.
Well, aside from them being unprincipled, it's almost as if they don't take seriously what they're talking about either. It's like the threat that they claim we're all under, they don't appear to think it's that big of a deal.
Well, they're right. They can be right about a couple of things, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
Well, it's clear when they're showing that their own skin is in the game, they apparently don't think masks are necessary.
That's
right.
Know,
which is, it's, why are they not being canceled in social media right now when everybody else is being canceled?
Yeah,
who just ask skeptical questions? These people are literally putting forward orders and then just violating them. If anybody should know, it should be them.
If they say they have science that back them up, then they should know. They should know the dangers of doing this. We had Gavin Newsom going to that illustrious restaurant, the French Laundry, so he can wine and dine with his friends. And then you want to have mandates about how much people could gather and blah, 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 and everything else. And these people are the people supposed to be leading us. There's something wrong here, something that stinks to high heaven.
Well, and that's a great segue to our next spot, too, about just other terrible leaders around the country who are in trouble, namely which Gavin Newsom with his recall that's happening here in California right now. And as we just found out last night or yesterday, Cuomo in New York now is about to be bounced out of there as well. But with him, it'll be on an impeachment, I believe, is how they'll carry him out. Whereas with Gavin Newsom, this is a voter action that's happening right now. But it's absolutely crazy. Some of the stuff that's happening and the hypocrisy of these people. Gavin Newsom. One of the issues is that recently he came out and he said that he was blaming the right wing for misinformation on Delta variant deaths for people not getting vaccinated. And I'm sure that there's a lot of misinformation going on all over the place. But this thing has become so highly politicized, and it's amazing how these people can only see one side of the coin. And that's a picture of Gavin Newsom there, in case you haven't, you're not aware. But if we look at an article that happened, and this is from Politico, during the election, Kamala Harris, here's the headline in Politico. Harris says she wouldn't trust Trump on any vaccine released before the election. So, here Gavin Newsom is blaming conservative voters when clearly the second in command in his party and likely to be the president in the next 4 years, as Biden probably won't make it through his whole term. Here Kamala is essentially being a vaccine denier and putting the country at risk by saying, hey, don't take the vaccine, or, I certainly wouldn't, is what she's saying. How terrible. And it just shows it's so politicized. Everybody we're in such a dangerous place where we literally just cannot trust any of the information that's coming from anywhere. You guys have any thoughts on?
I'm just motivated to root for Biden's good mental health with the thought of Harris right behind. Just one more slurred speech away from the White House or the Oval Office.
Are you done, Tim? Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But you have to wonder how this woman became vice president of the United States. Okay, truly, you have to wonder. Okay, this woman said, I think it was during the debate, she said that, if Donald Trump said the vaccine is good, blah blah blah, she's not gonna take it, she's not gonna trust it, whatever she said, something along those lines. So what was she really saying? Is she thinking that Donald Trump has a little lab at the bottom of the White House and he was developing the vaccine and that is what he was going to put out for us to put into our bodies? Is that what she was thinking? This woman is a damn idiot to start with. And now we have Gavin Newsom want to pile on the idiocy. All this misinformation is out there, and it's all this misinformation that's causing people to die, and all this misinformation causing people to be infected. Really, Gavin? You're going to be an idiot like Kamala. I guess all the same party, so maybe I should not be surprised. But the point about all this is something more deeper than this, Jason and Tim, really and truly. What we have going on here is the government and big tech joining together to tell us what information we should receive. That is what is going on here. That is a big problem. Kamala's idiocy is not a problem, as far as I'm concerned. We're going to get her out of office eventually. Gavin Newsom idiocy is not a problem. Hopefully, we'll get him out of office in September. But the big problem that we are facing right now is this joining together of government and big tech. And they are using this to censor us. This is a road to fascism. And we better be damn careful about these people and their actions.
Almost as careful as if they confiscated our real estate, our rental real estate from us. You know.
You see, Tim. That's a wonderful tie-in. Okay, that's a beautiful tie-in. You know why it is? Look at what the government is doing to us. We're supposed to be in a constitutional republic, and look at what they are doing. Okay, look at what they are doing. How they are violating our freedoms and our liberties, all in the name of the pandemic. We have to lock down. The pandemic. Well, we have to care about the tenants, so we have to violate the rights of and liberties of property owners with landlords. And next thing is going to be climate change. We have to violate your rights too, because we think this is an existential threat. So we're going to take care of the people, and we're going to take care of you. Yeah, thank you. Go take care of someone else, please.
Well, your grocery, you're going to have to put a big old basket in the back end of your bicycle when you go to the grocery store. Me too. You know, I'm going to get a lot of exercise riding that bike to the grocery store because I don't want to pollute. It'll be a law.
They're gonna seize my car, melt it down, Tim. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
They're gonna seize your car and they're gonna give you a bicycle, and they're all gonna be the same. They're gonna be one-speed bicycles with those big old handlebars and a little cha-ching, cha-ching next to it, and that's what we're gonna have. And a big giant basket fore and aft, so that we can go to the grocery store and get our groceries. And that's only once a week, though. By the way.
Once a week. So damn, I better don't have any needs in the interim. Okay, otherwise I'm shit.
No, you better not.
I'm out of luck.
You know, one point I want to drive home with this too, though, it's important to remember this, especially you know, as this is, you know, for the most part a libertarian type show. But the you know, it wasn't the Democrats who were in power, you know, at least in the White House, when all of this stuff happened. It was Donald Trump and Republicans. And the fact that, you know, he allowed a lockdown to occur, and the fact that he also signed on to eviction moratoriums as well. It's true he was not nearly as enthusiastic as Democrats were about it, but the bottom line is, I guess, if you're watching this and you are at all dismayed about where we're at, you know, I wouldn't look to, you know, one of the main two parties for a solution here, right? Because this is literally how we got here. You know, it's time to look to alternatives. And you know, hopefully, you know, if you're looking out there and you're dismayed, maybe you'll give the Libertarian Party a fresh look, because, you know, clearly this the people who were handling government during all this is about as big of a disaster as we could possibly have, this whole COVID lockdown mess and eviction moratoriums, and we're not out of it. I mean, we're going forward. You know, we're going to go deeper into this over the next few years as we try and untangle all these property rights that have been just destroyed. So,
yeah. But and that you know, that's a very valid point you're making, Jason. Very, very, very valid about Republican. This thing started under Trump, but the fact of the matter is, both parties are doing this. And it seems to me these days the message of the Republicans is, vote for me, we'll spend less on the Democrats. That's not a good message as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's about that time in our show to jump to our Knucklehead Noise Patrol. And there's the sound of our Knucklehead Noise Patrol. And in this particular item that we have this week, in the Knucklehead Noise Patrol, is something silly at the end of the show that some politician has said. Recently Psaki was trying to, Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, she was trying to divine a reason for the change in direction of the CDC on masks. And she couldn't really come up with one. I mean, it was just, she sort of stumbled her way through it. And it wound up being something on the order of, I told you, just because we told you. So essentially, Psaki was responding to Peter Doocy at the White House. And when he asked about this new change in direction, and she says, because the public health leaders in our administration have made the determination based on data. Of course, she wasn't really sharing that with anybody, but based on data. That is a way to make sure they are protected, their loved ones are protected, and that's an extra step given the transmissibility of the virus. Well, if you're vaccinated, then you're not really going to give the virus to somebody else. I mean, that's the whole point of the vaccination.
Yeah.
So if the vaccination works for you, then you have very little chance of spreading it to somebody else. So, I mean, the insanity is just it's just crazy. And this other article here just demonstrates this was earlier this year. CDC says fully vaccinated people don't need to wear masks indoors or outdoors in most settings. So, I mean, there you go. I mean, there's just a few months ago, and here again, mask mania. They just keep changing their advice on masks over and over again. You guys got any thoughts on this?
Well, I've heard that the vaccinated can apparently spread the virus from them to somebody that's unvaccinated or even vaccinated, as far as that goes. I've heard that. I don't know how true that is, but so there's that scuttlebutt going around. So, I mean, you might say, number one, that you could recommend some secondary means of trying to prevent the transmission of the virus. But masks have proven not to be, at least so many different studies, none that you'll see in the mainstream media apparently, or coming from the official government sources, but from other governments and other studies that have been independent and totally legit, not to mention this comparison between states like Florida and states like California.
Well, Tim, that's just because those studies didn't use 3 masks, as Fauci
said. That's very likely. I mean, just to wear one of these. Oh shoot, we're out of time. Leon, what do you think?
This idiocy is beyond belief. Okay, Tim, you're right. It is possible. It is possible to for a vaccinated person to transmit, because the vaccine is not 100% effective, but the risk is minimal. But these idiots want to take that and use that to violate our freedoms and our liberties. That is what they're trying to do here. Just because of that minimal risk of transmission, because of the effectiveness of the vaccine is not 100%. But the vaccine is 96% effective. So the chance of a vaccinated person getting infected and transmitting is minimal. And when I say minimal, I mean minimal beyond minimal.
Well, and anyway, we are risking the wrath of our editors right now, having to edit out too much of the show because we've gone over time. So thanks so much for joining us for this show. We hope you see us at the next one. And until then, stay free.
Indeed.
Yep.
Bye.